Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to my very first live 2015 Hard in the Paint segment. Um, Brand new year, new beginnings, and everything. New haircut. That being said, before we jump into it, what I want to do right now is pay homage to a man that, in my opinion, revolutionized the way we look at sports analysts today. That man being one Stewart Orlando Scott. Uh, Before we dive into it, let me just say that I can remember coming home one day being told that I was going to love this young man and the way he presented sports on ESPN. I already liked ESPN, but Stewart Scott would allow me to absolutely fall in love with ESPN. uh, with such catchphrases as booyah, holla at a play when you see him in the street, as cool as the other side as the pillow, he must be the driver because he's taking him to school, and my personal favorite, and the Lord said you got to rise up. Stewart made it cool to be a sports analyst. He made it cool to talk slang in sports. I can't even talk about how this man influenced me. So when I found out that he had tried out for the Jets, that basically said to me, you know what, Theo, you can still keep playing sports. So with Stu being 49, me being 47, to this day, I still find myself playing sports because I look at the fact that this man still went out and did and handled his business the way that he handled business. When I found out that Stewart had cancer, I was like, oh man, because the way Stewart went about his business, Stewart was no longer just an analyst. Stewart was no longer just someone that I viewed on TV. Stewart became a mentor. He became a mentor in such that the way we talk about sports out in the streets, we can now talk about it out in the world and it be taken serious. Cool and hip became synonymous with professionalism and intelligence. So I just love that about Stewart Scott. I really just love that about him. In my opinion, Stewart Scott was swagger before swagger was even a word. That being said, when Stewart did his speech, gave his speech on the ESPYs last year, 2014, I was overcome with emotion. And I was overcome with emotion because Stewart was not just this guy that I saw on TV. He was not just this guy with these fancy catchphrases. To me, like he was to a lot of us, Stewart became a mentor. Stewart became a teacher of how we should go about conducting ourselves in our lives, and he became a teacher as to how African American men can present themselves on television. You could be cool now and still be professional, and it be accepted. Thank you, Stewart Scott. When I found out he passed this Sunday morning, I wasn't sad to the point that he was gone. I was sad because we would no longer hear him, his innovativeness on ESPN. Having lost a grandmother and a grandfather to cancer, I can only sympathize with what his wife and his two daughters are going through. What I would say to you, Mr. Scott, is you were an innovator, you were a pioneer when it comes to being a sports analyst. And for that, myself, along with everyone else, we will forever thank you. That being said, let's get down into it. I didn't know what my first topic was going to be in 2015, but I now know. My daughter, 13 years old, said to me yesterday, because her mother has recently done her hair, that she was kind of being picked on. Now, not picked on in the sense where somebody's negatively targeting her at school, but picked on by children who don't understand, trying to be funny, trying to tell jokes about the way her hair is plaited. It made fun of her saying that, oh, you look like you're from Africa. And why would you want to look like that? And as I told my daughter, I said to her, embrace your heritage. There's nothing wrong with being from Africa. There's nothing wrong with embracing your heritage. In this day and age where you have celebrities saying that they're the new black or they're not black at all and they don't want to be identified with black, what's wrong with being black? What's wrong with being African American? As a matter of fact, let me re-ask that question. I can understand somebody not wanting to be associated with color. I myself don't want to be associated with a color. As you see me on this video today, I'm not black. My hair may be black, but I'm not black. I'm an African American, and I'm a proud descendant of my ancestors who were brought over here from the slave trade, sold into slavery in the continental United States. I embrace my heritage. I love everything about it, from the good, the bad, to the ugly. Too many times today we're teaching our children not to embrace their heritage, and too many times today our children aren't even embracing their heritage. They're thinking about being the next Young Thug, the next Lil Wayne, instead of thinking about being the next who they are, as if being who you are is not good enough whatsoever. You have to aspire to be somebody else who doesn't even know you. Focus on being the best you that you could possibly be. There's nothing wrong with being an African American. And to be perfectly honest with you, to hear such statements come from people, when I don't hear Asians saying that they're ashamed to be Asian. I don't hear Jewish people saying that they're ashamed to be Jewish, Native Americans saying that they're ashamed to be Native Americans, Italians, Latinos, whatever you want to go down the list. We seem to be the only race that's ashamed of it, and that in itself is a shame. I teach my daughter about Ndinkra symbols, so if she wants to get a tattoo, she knows where she can get one that talks about who she is as a person in regards to getting a tattoo that is from another race, another culture. I go out of my way to tell my daughter about African mythology. Yes, we have it. We do have such a thing as African mythology. Everybody should learn something about it. Our race, our pride, our culture, our history doesn't begin the moment we landed on Plymouth Rock. It actually begins several miles away in a whole other continent. And that's something we need to be sharing with our children as proud African American adults. My name is Theo Butler. I'm going to be doing this. I got a brand new setup going on and everything like that. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to be talking to y'all week in and week out. Hopefully next time it won't take on such a serious overtone. We'll be talking more and more about sports. You know, we have the Super Bowl coming up. We got NFL playoffs coming up first. We have the first playoff national championship game between Ohio State and Oregon. I myself picked Oregon plus 10 over Florida State. Hard to believe, but I actually watched football, so them getting throttled by Oregon was no surprise. And I only had Alabama by 3, so them being beaten by Ohio State, wow, surprising, wasn't that surprising. But I will be talking to you guys again soon. I love you. Peace. We out.